So hi.
Hi.
To start off with, would you like to say your name and where you are?
Yes, my name is Magdalena Ségur-Cabanac, and I'm in Vienna, Austria.
Okay. And the first question for you is, who are you as a human being? And that can be passions, qualities, values, or whatever you'd like to share about yourself.
I would say I'm a woman. I'm a seeker. I'm a partner, a lover. I'm a therapist. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a Gestalt therapist. I'm a sexual therapist. I love connection. I love contact. And I think that's the reason why I became Gestalt therapist, because I'm really interested in exploring contact. And I also like to explore contact through dancing or moving my body with other people. And I like to explore contact with nature, experiencing nature, being in contact with nature. I have a package of values that are very important to me, and I feel like I really want to live up to them, or not up to them, but I want to live them. I have this big goal or aim to live an authentic life, and to expand my comfort zone, and to face challenges and fears or things where I feel stuck or small. I like to face these things and explore myself, also spiritually. So I would also say I'm a spiritual person.
Okay. Is there anything else in that package of values? That sounds interesting.
Yeah, well, it's about being authentic. I would say the community is very important to me, like being part of a community, belonging, like my tribe is very important to me, my family, my friends. But at the same time, I feel like I'm not ready to bend or twist, or yeah, I want to be true to myself, and I find that a big challenge sometimes. uh, yeah, so being authentic is part of the package, and being in loving connections, another one. And also, when I'm not ready to, I am not willing to, I want to be true to myself. So sometimes even on the outside, on a society, in society or politics, I see developments that I don't like, and sometimes it's hard for me to realize how limited my power is in some parts, and on the other side, I try to use my power quite consciously when I can, so that I do make an impact in the field that I'm in.
Okay. So a little bit about your history. I'm
Mhm.
wondering what comes to mind as an event or as a set of circumstances in your life that you would say have really influenced who you are.
Um, well, there were a bunch of events that really influenced who I am, but one particular um, did make a big difference. When I was 22, I went to India with a friend for a few months, and we did a lot of yoga and meditation. And my friend really wanted to make a Vipassana retreat. And back then, I was interested in yoga and meditation, but I would have never decided for myself to do a 10-day meditation course without talking. But somehow I knew that if I don't go with her, I might have to sit there in northern India and wait 10 days until she's done with her meditation course. So somehow I just decided that I'm going to do that with her. And during that meditation course, I really worked through my armor, and I learned to stop judging myself for everything. It was about, you sit and you just observe the sensations in your body, and you just realize them, and you try to stay like peaceful towards them. So you don't want the good sensations, and you want to get rid of the bad sensations, but you try to stay calm about them. You just observe them. And it took me like a week of hard work and of pain and struggles, and having like crazy ideas how I could break out of this meditation center and what crazy things I could do. And until about a week, I found a space in myself that was so peaceful and so full of love and compassion and still and clear and completely connected to everything, to life, to other humans, to nature, to God even. It was a very, very magic experience for me, and that really changed my life, because from that moment on I knew who I was. All the time before, I was searching something outside. I was searching, looking for myself on the outside, and during that experience I really found out who I really am, and that really changed me, or it changed my experience of myself. It changed the relationship that I had with myself. And after that, I knew that I will never lose that again, because it's from that moment on, I just had to like take care of my relationship with myself. But I knew that I can't lose it. And that really reassured me and gave me a good feeling in, walking around on this planet.
Okay. So I am also wondering about the first thing that you said. You said, I'm a woman. So
Yes.
Is there anything you would like to say about your experience or understanding of yourself within your gender or as a woman?
Well, being a woman is very important to me. I was born in a family with 4 brothers. So I was always very aware of my gender. Not so much of the gender roles, of course, but it took me a while to get conscious about that, to be aware of that. And that has been a big topic for me. I started working in a women's shelter. I worked with women who've been trafficked to Austria to work as sex workers or in households. And I've, like, in my early adulthood, I was like I'm still a feminist. I've always been a feminist, but I was fighting for rights and protecting women, or fighting for rights of women whom I thought they don't have enough rights, or they don't have enough support. And that was very draining for me. And somehow my life did change in a way that I understood that I can do the right thing, and I can like support people and guide people on their journeys. But I changed my attitude, because love became my guide, so to say, or I stopped fighting and started doing actually probably the same things, but with compassion, and that made things much easier for me. And I love being a woman. I became a sexual therapist also because I really feel like there's so much power in being a woman, and so much I think being a woman is such a wonderful thing. Having a female body is such a beautiful, it's such a great thing. And I would really like more women and people in the world being happy. Like, I would love women to be more happy with their gender. And I think there is still a lot to do because we live in a patriarchal world, at least where I'm living. And I think this whole gender thing is still, it's for me, it's a big topic also, because I see a lot of men suffering from toxic masculinity, and I think they suffer this patriarchy is harming men just as much as it harms women, and it's time for a change. And yeah, I want to take part in this evolvement of society. I mean, at least in the context I'm in. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wondering also about other people in your life. Would you say that there's a particular person who's had a really big impact on you, and how?
There have been a lot of people who had a big impact on me, and one person in particular that is very important to me is my partner, because with him I learned how to really love, how to trust and let go and just be happy. I learned that relationships don't have to be a struggle, that life can be easy. And yeah, he's been a great teacher to me. And there have also been people that did have a big influence, but not because they were so such a big role model to me, but because through their relationships, I saw how I never want to be or how I never want to become. And that was also very important. And I made experience like that in my private life, but also in in my training. And I think that was very important because it really, it shaped me with my expectations, and also with my, it also shaped my values as a therapist, because for me, it's so important to be correctable or corrective. You know what I mean?
To be able to learn, do you mean? Like,
Yeah,
that
but
someone
also
can correct you? Or
yeah, so I want my clients to know they can always correct me. Like when we're in an intervention or a process or something, and my client says, no, that doesn't feel right, or I don't think that's true for me, or whatever, I want them to be able to correct me, or to, I want to be open to be corrected. And I think that's very important as a therapist. And that's something I learned.
Okay. So I have another slightly more personal question, which is how you are experiencing age in your life at this point, or how you understand or deal with age.
I'm going to be 37 next month. And I always, like, people would always tell me that I look much younger than I am. And I somehow, of course, this is something supposed to be charming, and it was charming in a way, of course, but also in my job, I always experienced it as a disadvantage, because in the women's shelter, the women were like, they were thinking I'm a apprentice or something. They didn't think I'm a social worker. And sometimes I did experience that it would have been better if I had a more adult looking face. But now I'm quite happy with that. And I feel I'm grown up. Like, I feel like an adult, but at the same time, I feel very playful. and I'm still exploring and seeking and finding out and figuring out things. And yeah, and I like that. I very much like that about life, about, yeah. And yeah, so I'm happy with my age. I'm completely okay with, I mean, maybe you should ask me that again when I'm 70 or something, or
Oh,
80.
I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So another question is how you have come to understand or experience power and privilege in your life.
That's another very interesting question. Privilege, yeah. I haven't, that's a very sensitive question, actually. Well, living in Austria as a white woman, I do have a lot of privilege, and I I wasn't aware of it all of my life, but I came to realize it, and I think for me there also comes responsibility with it, and I try my best to be aware and to reflect my privilege, and to I really try to face my own vulnerability, and I really try to be in touch with that and communicate that, or at least deal with it. And I do talk about that a lot with my friends and colleagues, and also clients sometimes, depending on their issues, of course. But I think that's it's a very important thing in my life, also connected to the feminist or women gender role topic. And yeah, power is the other thing. I think a lot of women are not aware of their power, and it was a process for me too, to find my own power and to dive through all these layers of shame and fear and feelings of insufficiency and all of that. And yeah, I did that because I really wanted to be free, and I still want to be free. And I think it's a continuous process. It's not something you do once and then it's done and you're free of it. It's constant work, I think, and it needs constant dedication and awareness.
Okay. So I'm going to switch a little bit. I'm wondering how you found Gestalt therapy, or where or how did that come into your life?
Well, in Austria, we have a training called Propedeutikum, and you can become a psychotherapist if you are a doctor, a psychologist, social worker, teacher, nurse, or there are more other jobs. And they come all together for this Propedeutikum and make like a basic training. And after you have accomplished this, you can apply for a special therapy, like Gestalt or systemic or whatever you want. And during this training, there were many lectures of different, health conditions, or also Gestalt kinds of different psychotherapy directions. And actually, I thought I was going to become a systemic therapist, because during my social study, my social work study, there was a lot of influence from systemic therapy, and it felt kind of familiar to me, and to me it made sense to become a systemic therapist. And I started a therapy, and I realized that all this talking doesn't get me very far, because I could just talk myself out of things or into things. It wasn't really real somehow. And there was a lecture in this Propedeutikum. This was one lady. She talked about Gestalt and depression. And when she described how Gestalt sees people with depression, I was so surprised and so touched, because it was the first time that I had the feeling there's a human being there with resources and, all kinds of things. And yes, there is a symptom, and yes, there is something, but this person is so much more. And also the different methods she explained, or she told us about. It felt so good, because I had the feeling as if I could be really myself being a Gestalt therapist. I wouldn't have to be playing a role or performing something. I could really be myself with all my values and my the things that are important to me. And also the spiritual aspect of my personality just really felt like, yeah, I could be a spiritual person and be a therapist. This experience I made in Vipassana, this awareness, that moment that really made me understand who I was, it felt like, yeah, as a Gestalt therapist, I can be myself. And so I wanted to become a Gestalt therapist. And I made the training in Gestalt therapy, and I really enjoyed that. Like every weekend was like, it was a playground for me, because I just loved so much all the exploring, all the conflicts, all the discussions. I just enjoyed everything. I really did. And I became very passionate about it. The only thing I didn't like about it was that there was not really room to talk about sexuality. And that was a problem for me. That's why I became a sexual therapist, and that's why I'm trying my best to somehow get this topic, this so important topic, included in the training.
And that's interesting, because I mean, every country, every culture, every institute, has slightly different program structures, right? And for some, that is a big part of the training, and for others, it's not.
Yeah.
And it's really, I guess, part of just the structure of taboos and priorities.
Exactly.
And yeah,
I think so too. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm wondering what you've done with Gestalt. And I don't just mean like a list of, things that you do, but what is like the essence of your work? Because you talked about working, I mean, even with women who have been trafficked and in abuse and those kinds of things. What is it that's important to you about your work with Gestalt?
Well, I didn't work in the women's shelter and in the women who've been trafficked. I didn't work as a psychotherapist, but as a social worker. Mm-hmm. So now in my practice, my work is very different from what I did back then. Now my big goal is to support my clients to become aware of themselves, to find out who they are, so that they learn, to get to know their values and get rid of all the introjects and all the things they think they should be or should do, and become more alive. And with that, become, improve their abilities to be in contact and to have conflicts and to stand up for themselves and to be warm and open and let people be close to them and have nourishing relationships. Yeah. Okay. And also, of course, be in touch with their sexuality, because I think that's such a very important aspect of human life. In which way one chooses to live with sexuality, but I think it's important to be aware of it as a resource.
Okay. So how would you say that Gestalt has affected you as a person?
That's a good question. Somehow it feels like Gestalt is a framework through which I can understand who I am. It's like something I can hold on to, because it gives me words, and it gives me words to express what I feel or to explore what I feel. And it does turn me inwards. Whenever I'm in contact, that's the big challenge for me, just to be, rooted in myself, be with me and feel the sensations of my body and listen to myself, and then from myself, be in that contact with myself and with the other person. And that's a big thing. I think that's a huge thing. And I think it became that clear to me through Gestalt.
Okay. So I'm wondering what you have run up against as challenges in this relationship with Gestalt, or perhaps even in other areas of your life. But what comes up for you as a challenge, a significant challenge?
Well, negotiating relationships is one of my biggest challenges, I have to say, because I feel quite exactly what I want and what I need and where I want to go. And I'm in, and other people have different needs, and I constantly have to negotiate, and that is a big challenge. And there have been situations in my life where people would have told me that I shouldn't be together with the person I want to be with, and I had to negotiate that as well. There was a lot. There was a lot of tension, and I was ready to sacrifice other relationships to follow my own lead. But in every situation, in every relationship, I think negotiating needs and wishes, and that's the biggest challenge, I would say. Also working together with colleagues and negotiating sometimes I'm looking for words.
That's a challenge too.
Yeah, exactly. That's a challenge too. Challenging languages. Yeah, and also, thank you. Also, cultural barriers, or is it? Yeah, cultural barriers. That's also a challenge, but I find that a very nourishing one. I really love. I love. Probably that's the explorer in me. I really love to get a feeling for another person, or something that used to be foreign to me, to find out what to see that person as a human being, and with all their wise thoughts and perspective and perception. That's very interesting. Yeah, because I think it's a process to grow for both, or for everyone, once you're open to it. And that is a challenge too, because you have to somehow regulate your fear. And yeah.
Okay. So on the other side of those challenges, what comes up for you as a moment of satisfaction or fulfillment, or some kind of peak experience that stays with you? I mean, that can be in Gestalt, as a therapist, as a student, just one of those moments where you would say, ooh.
Well, to be honest, I'm so grateful and honored by every person that opens up to me, that whenever there is something coming up and that person is willing to follow the the lead of the inner voice, or of the inner wisdom, and the phenomenon, it just, everything comes up, and you just have to trust and let it happen. And I consider my job just to hold the space, and to have enough trust, and be there, and maybe ask the right questions, but basically just being there and trusting. And this is magic to me. Also, I work a lot with constellations, with figures and constellations, and that is magic to me too. How everything makes sense, how it always makes sense. And yeah, so Gestalt also helped me to even have more trust in life than I used to have before, because I see magic all the time, like little things, of course. I mean, but yeah. Mm.
Okay. So you talked about differences and with colleagues. So I'm wondering, do you feel like part of a Gestalt community? Like, does that phrase mean anything to you?
Yeah, I mean, in Austria or in Vienna there are two organizations who offer training in Gestalt therapy, and I'm part of one. So I am part of an organization, and I work together with colleagues from the other one too. And to me, and there are like, Gestalt talks or like Sure Fix, where people make like little lectures about something they're interested in, and there is a community, yes. And I find that very important. But the community is like, it's Austria wide. Like I'm not in a community that's like in Europe or but I want to actually. I want to.
Do you feel that sort of like on an organizational level? Just because before you'd said, belonging and tribe, and
yeah.
does that feel like that to you with Gestalt people or no?
Well, in a weird way, yes, but but it's not that emotionally close.
Okay.
So I do feel connected with people who are like, I feel connected to Stella, for example, and Stella is not in Austria. She's far away, but she's a Gestalt therapist, and her attitudes and my attitudes are, I feel we have so much in common that I feel very connected to her. And even other Gestalt therapists that are maybe not in Vienna, but in other places. And I appreciate them. I appreciate how they work or what they do, and I learn from them.
Okay. So it's really almost the last question, is where are you going with this? What is next for you, either as a person or in your work? And what do you think could be next for Gestalt, coming from where we are in the world right now?
Well, I can say for me, my next goal is to start working with groups, and I'd like to start working in training Gestalt therapists, and also like training in sexual therapy, Gestalt sexual therapy. That is my next goal. And where is Gestalt going? That's a very interesting question. I think I would need some time to think about that. But
yeah, if you get like the definitive answer, please let me know. We can publish it. We can.
Yeah, no, actually, I think, with all this neurobiology, I think so much of what Gestalt therapists have said the last years, I mean, the last 50 years or even more, I feel it's just been validated. And I'm very proud of that, because to me, it always felt like the truth, so to say. And somehow now it feels like it's like reassured. It's like, yeah, it's confirmed. It's like, yeah, it makes sense. Like we are interconnected, and yeah, even through computers, we don't have to sit in front of each other, but we can still have, with our mirror neurons, we can still, we are still connected and feel empathy for each other. And yeah, so I would like Gestalt therapy to be more confident. Maybe that's something. Maybe that's some Austrian thing. I don't know how it is in Mexico or in the US, or in Canada. But I can say that for Austria, I would like Gestalt therapy to be more confident.
Maybe it needs to go to therapy to work on that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's really all I would ask at this point. Is there anything else that you would like to add? Is there any part of yourself that you feel you've left out or want to bring in?
No, I think.
No?
I mean, I don't think of anything that I feel like I have to say.
Mhm.
I'm happy.
Okay. So I could end the interview here, and you can tell me later if you want to cut this out. I do have another question for you, just
Yeah.
because I have some background information.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, as a mother, how has Gestalt influenced you? And I
So
ask
not.
this to some people who I know are parents and some
Mhm.
grandparents. I'm just
Mhm.
curious how it changes family relationships.
I would say that I'm more aware of how I can harm my daughter with
Oh,
not being aware.
okay.
Um, so I talk a lot. I talk a lot to her about feelings and emotions, and she's able to communicate her feelings really, really well, and I'm very proud of that because it makes life so much easier. I mean, she's 8 now. It would be
Hmm.
different, of course, but I even remember when she was like 2.5 or something. I We were with friends at a house, and I decided that it's time for her to go to bed. And she didn't want to go to bed because she still wanted to play. But I took her to bed, and she was like screaming and yelling and like,
Hmm.
And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, now it's time to go to bed. I can see you're so sad." And she looked at me and said, "I'm not sad. I'm angry." And I was so proud of her. I was so proud of her being able to divide her feelings and articulate them and express them. Um, so yeah, I think expressing who we are is a very, very important thing. And for all of us, like I feel that for myself too. It's for me, it's
Hmm.
so important to express who I am, but not in a way of performing or showing off or for the others, but just not hiding or
Hmm.
not making myself smaller. And yeah, so I really try to support my daughter in being like herself, and she's very different from me. So she's more like my husband actually. So what I do is I don't try to bend her or twist her so she would be a little bit more like me, or I don't know. I feel like she's a flower, and all I do is like keeping space and supporting her so she can learn how to be in contact with the world and find ways to solve conflicts and get what she wants, and yeah, negotiate relationships again. Here it is again. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, I just had that curiosity. I know that you hadn't mentioned her, so I hope that wasn't too invasive. You can tell me if this can stay or not, but
Yeah.
I was just curious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything else?
No, I don't. I
No?
don't think of. I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. Well, it's been really nice to meet with you, and I appreciate your conversation. So, is it okay with you if we leave it here?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.